Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Evan O'Brien, Creative Manager at the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum, and it's my privilege to be here with all of you today in this beautiful cemetery to commemorate the involvement in the Boston Tea Party of Joshua Wyeth. We are a very short time away from the 250th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. It's December the 16th, 2023. Revolution 250 and the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum are working hand in hand to create a commemorative year of programming, special exhibits, special events, theatrical performances, and of course, ceremonies like today's, where we take time to pause and reflect upon the brave deeds of those involved in an event that would come to define a nation. And that revolutionary spirit for the brave action and the efforts of the Tea Party participants reverberate as strongly today as they did in 1773. Many of the Tea Party participants were common tradesmen, common laborers, barrel makers, housewrights, painters, wallpaperers, ship captains, and many of them were young adults and apprentices.
Joshua Wyeth was a 15-year-old blacksmith's apprentice with Western and Gridley on December 16, 1773. He was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1758 to Ebenezer Wyeth II and Mary Winship Wyeth. He later wrote an account of his experience the night of the tea's destruction, and is often credited with the moniker the Boston Tea Party. In his account, he would say, "Our numbers were between 28 and 30. Of my associates, I only recall the names of Cunningham, Meade, Martin, and Grant. We were met together one evening, talking over the tyranny of the British government, such as the duties, shutting up the port of Boston, the murdering of Mr. Gray's family, sending people to England for trial, and sundry other acts of oppression. Our indignation was increased by having heard of the arrival of the tea ships at this time. We agreed that if the tea was landed, the people could not stand the temptation and would certainly buy it. We came to a sudden determination to make sure work of it by throwing it all overboard." He goes on to give some of the best descriptions of the disguises worn by some of the participants. He would write, "We agreed in order, as much as we might, prevent ourselves from being discovered, to wear ragged clothes, and disfigure ourselves as much as possible. After we pledged our honor that we would not reveal our secret plan, we separated. At the appointed time we all met according to agreement. We had smeared our faces with grease and soot or lampblack. We should not have known each other save by our voices, and we surely resembled devils from the bottomless pit rather than men." He goes on to describe the work. "As the chests were hoisted on deck, others knocked them open with axes, and others raised them to the railing and discharged their contents overboard. We stirred briskly in the business. We were merry in an undertone, but were still as the case would admit. I never labored harder in my life. It may be supposed that there was much talk about it the next morning. The Tories, civil, military, and spies all made a great fuss. Proclamations and reward to procure detection were all to no purpose. We pretended to be as zealous to find out the perpetrators as the rest. We often talked with Tories about it. We were all so close and so loyal that the whole affair remained in darkness. We used to, sometimes afterwards, meet and talk the affair over, never failing to end by drinking a toast to the hearty boys of America forever." Our hope is that these markers, such as the one we're placing today, will provide the public with an opportunity to pause and reflect upon the importance of the ordinary yet critically important citizens who are inexplicably tied to the formative years of our region and our nation. Thank you very much.
I just wonder, how many of you have been to the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum?
Not enough.
Did you get one of these cards when you went in?
I'm not sure. I can't.
Did you ask to be somebody?
My son did.
Okay. Well, so can anybody guess who I asked to be? I am Joshua Wyeth's fourth great-grandniece. And our family just so appreciates the Boston Tea Party Ships and Museum for hosting this event today and for allowing me to tell you about the efforts to obtain this memorial marker for Joshua. Joshua was born, as Evan said, on the 6th of October, 1758. He was the younger brother of my fourth great-grandfather, Ebenezer Wyeth III. After Joshua helped dump tea in Boston Harbor, he served with Ebenezer and their brother Jonas in the Continental Army. Because of their service, all three men had health problems for the rest of their lives. In particular, Joshua was held prisoner at Long Island and was wounded on Manhattan Island. In his pension application, Joshua stated he could no longer work as a blacksmith due to wounds and debility. Naturally, I am proud those three men were part of the generation of American patriots who pushed for independence, fought a war, and set the United States on its course. In 2011, while I was researching the family tree with relatives, it was extraordinary to us that someone recognized in his lifetime for helping to shape our country would be in an unremembered grave. Joshua lived in Cincinnati when he was interviewed about his role in the Tea Party. So having read that many graves from the Cincinnati's old burying grounds were moved to Spring Grove, I contacted the cemetery. When Spring Grove's staff advised Joshua's grave was not moved there, I next wrote to the Cincinnati Historical Society. They sent me an obituary proving Joshua did indeed live in Cincinnati and that his funeral was held the day after his death on the 23rd January, 1829 at his home on Longworth Street. So, in late 2012, on a visit to the Boston Tea Party ships, I was pleased to help their museum complete the unknown date for Joshua. Joshua's home was near the old 12th Street burying grounds. Chris Smith, the Cincinnati Library's local history department librarian, told me those graves are currently under Cincinnati's Washington Park. Chris further explained that back in 1855, when the graves were to have been moved to Spring Grove, notices were published in newspapers asking families to come forward and pay to have their loved ones moved to Spring Grove. Tracy Brumley, assistant to the cemetery's president, was the first person to show any enthusiasm for placing a monument on their grounds to honor Joshua. With her help, an application for a memorial stone was completed and forwarded to the VA. When the VA requested additional proof that Joshua was first buried below Washington Park, Chris Smith personally wrote to the VA about his research. Dr. Michael Gunn, I know you're here. Where are you? There you are. War Graves chairman for the Cincinnati chapter of the Sons of the American Revolution, also sent the VA pages from the record of Revolutionary soldiers buried in Hamilton County, compiled by U.S. Congressman Samuel F. Carey. Carey wrote in the late 19th century, quote, "The vandalism of our Christian civilization has long since blotted out the old graveyards of Cincinnati, scattered the bones of the departed, and broken down the memorial stones planted at their graves," unquote. When the VA finally granted the request for Joshua's memorial monument, it was placed here in these beautiful gardens, 185 years after the death of a man who did much to shape our country and give us the freedom that now shapes our lives.
And as far as I'm concerned, Joshua Wyeth's memory, what he did, how he conveyed it, and fortunately, the way it was picked up and passed on to all the rest of us is right up there with what's occurred. We specialize on Nathaniel Greene as a general. We specialize on our founding fathers, sons of the American Revolution, rededicate this marker and this Boston marker to the glory of God and in the recognition of the memory of this honorable patriot of the American Revolution. We are going to end now with a musket salute. We are going to go into a position called mourn, and we will blow taps, which is the modern way of getting recognition and honor.
Take aim!